Welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be talking about travel apps you should download right now if you plan to travel to Southeast Asia or just around the world. And there's probably two that you already have now that you didn't know you could use for travel. So let's start with the Google. So Google Maps, it's something that I highly suggest. I use it probably every day, and it helps me map out where I'm gonna be going, gives me food suggestions. It's just overall a great app. In addition to that, you can download a certain area you're going to before you head there. So if you don't think you're gonna have internet access, definitely download that section before you go, and it'll be definitely useful when you get there. The next Google app is called Google Trips. I use it quite often. What it does is it pulls from your email all your travel itinerary. It kind of recognizes what are flights and hotel bookings, and it's all organized automatically for you. And in addition to that, since it knows you're going to the city, it'll have recommendations for places to see or places to eat, and you can make a to-do list through the app itself. If you don't feel comfortable using your personal email, you can definitely just create an email separate for your travel, so you just have all your reservations and everything sent to that particular email, and just make sure it's a Google email. Another great app would be Google Translate. So what that app does is you can either type or verbally say a word, and it'll convert it into the language you need it to be. So I use it if somebody's speaking a foreign language to me and I need to know what it is in English. But what I use it for the most is if there's a sign or a menu in a foreign language, you can actually point the camera at it through the app, and it'll actually convert the text into your native language, mine being English. We're gonna talk about accommodations. Now, if you're traveling and you're going for low budget, the popular travel app would be Couchsurfing. It's definitely something to consider, and you can couch surf all over the world. But in addition to that, if you aren't comfortable staying with a stranger anywhere, you can just download it and get events. So it's great to download and see other people. Next suggestion for accommodations would be Hostelworld. And it's an app you can download. You can actually go on the website as well. And what that is definitely hostels. Hostels are typically shared accommodations, but you can actually get your private room and have that socializing. So if you really want to be near where the action is, or have a very social environment, you can definitely research that, and there's a lot of reviews, so that's very helpful. Another app that's great for accommodations is Airbnb. You've probably heard of it. So again, you're paying to stay at a stranger's house, but it's your choice if you want them there. So Airbnb gives you an option to rent a room, share in somebody's house, or just rent their entire place. I find it very useful. And there's a link below if you want some credit towards your first booking if you've never used it. But the great part about Airbnb is it's international. I went and used it in Iceland, had a fantastic experience. And when I first landed in Bali, I used it to rent actually a hotel. So there's definitely a good mixture of opportunities. There's gonna be some more boutique places, and everybody knows that you can rent a place to stay in a yacht if you wanted to, or some exotic places, so go check it out. My final accommodation recommendation app would be Booking.com. They have some fantastic reviews, some unique places to stay, and they're based out of Holland, and that's where my girlfriend's from, so I had to tell you that. Did I say it correctly? Oh, there's a link below. Now let's talk about transportation. How do we get anywhere? So Google Maps is great to show you how long it takes to get somewhere. It tends to have some transit information. If you want some more accurate transit information, we do recommend Move It is a great app that tells you the transit times in a lot of cities across the world. So check that out and see that it'll help you. Another transportation app you probably already have is Uber. And if you don't already have it, definitely sign up. It works all over the US, a lot of places in Europe. If you're heading to Southeast Asia, you'd probably want to download Grab. It works very similar to Uber. Uber was in Southeast Asia, but they actually gave up market share to Grab. they end up investing about 27% into the company. So make sure to download Uber and Grab. Moving on. Oh. Just throwing M&Ms at me. So the first app I suggest for money, and I'm not like to get money, but it's called XE, and it will convert the local currency into your currency, so you actually know how much you're spending. So great to have that. Make sure you have some idea what the conversion rate is, so you're not constantly fuddling through to check. But it's a great app, and I think you can put up to like 10 different currencies at once, so you can see how much it costs, like where you are now versus where you're going. Now, if you're on a budget like me, I suggest getting a spending app or a budget app. And you can always probably just look at your account to see how much money you've spent, but I like to see where my money is going. So for that, I use either Trail Wallet or Splitwise. I use Splitwise more often just because I'm traveling with somebody and we can see who paid for what, how much things cost, and then it'll export into a spreadsheet. We go over the totals every 2 weeks to see where our money is going. I can tell you my money is going to food a lot. The activity of putting in how much you spent helps you figure out what things cost, and also makes you more accountable for your spending. So let's talk about flights. The two most popular flight apps would be Kayak and Skyscanner. And they kind of do similar things, but I suggest checking both when you go to search for flights. Now, the popular feature on both would be Explore. And what that means is you put in where you're at and you just hit a button to say anywhere in the world, and it'll actually pull up with the cheapest flights anywhere. And I also suggest to purchase the flight in the local currency. So if you have a credit card that has zero currency conversion, it's great to have, because typically it might be a little bit less. And although it's not an app, I would save the webpage for Google Flights. It's a great place also to search for flights. It does have the Explore feature as well, and it has a different algorithm, and so you can definitely find some cheap flights there. Obviously, the more flexible you are, the cheaper the flights are, and occasionally you'll find what are called airfares, where it's like super low, and those you can book, but keep in mind they don't have to honor them. Most of the time they do, but if it's like ridiculously low, it might not have to. So when you're trying to stay in touch with others, a great app for messaging it's called WhatsApp. Everybody I tend to bump into around the world has it. It'll keep whatever number you want to stay on it, even if you change SIM. So I still have my home number from the US, but I change SIM cards as I go along. But that number is still consistent with my WhatsApp, and people can still be in touch with me. You can make telephone calls on it through Wi-Fi, video chats. It's overall a great app. Before I get into the last section, I just want to thank you for watching, and if you like it, please consider subscribing. It's free, just for today, and I'll be making more episodes like these to help you travel, because I really, really love travel, and I want to make sure you guys know how to travel more efficiently. Any information about traveling that you'd like to know, please put it in the comments. I appreciate any feedback, good or bad. And let's continue on. So let's talk about the two apps you probably already have that you didn't consider using for travel. So the first one being Facebook. What's great about Facebook is that you can do Facebook groups. So you can look for a specific location and join the group. An example would be if you're thinking about backpacking Southeast Asia or Thailand, there's actually specific groups called Backpacking Thailand or Southeast Asia, and they usually have people upwards of 30 to 40,000 in that group. It's a private group, so you do have to join it, but there's a wealth of information. You can search for posts that have already happened, or you can post new questions and connect with other people. And it's amazing. It's an amazing resource where you can ask, if this is a good place to stay, or what's a good place to stay in Chiang Mai, or if I go to Kuala Lumpur, what should I see? And people are very helpful when it comes to travel questions. In addition to that, they do offer the groups in various languages. So if your home country or native language is not English, you can definitely check for ones that are German or Italian or Dutch, and those are really popular as well. So the second app would be Instagram. I use Instagram often because you can follow hashtags. So if you're thinking about going to Koh Samui, you can just do hashtag Koh Samui and follow it. And it'll be on your feed, and you can kind of look at the different hashtags or that specific location on Instagram and see if it's something you'd be interested in going to, get a better idea what it looks like. And also, if there's a place you're thinking about staying or going in that area, like Koh Samui, maybe you're looking for a specific beach, so you can kind of see what beach photos show up. And if there's a hostel you're thinking about staying at, I sometimes will comment like, hey, did you enjoy this hostel? And a lot of people will just respond saying, hey, it was great, or it was actually pretty much a party. People always talk about things being like Instagrammable, and this gives you an idea of like maybe what photos you might want to take, or maybe photos you don't want to take. You're saying, oh, there's too many photos at this location. I want to do a different angle, or I want something a little bit more fresh because that seems too common. So there's different facets of Instagram you can use. So that's it for travel apps. Thanks for watching. If there's an app you think I missed, put it in the comments below, and so everybody can see it. And again, subscribe if you haven't already. If you're in Southeast Asia and you want to collaborate, please reach out to me. And take care, guys. Be safe. Can you do the intro for me?
What intro?
It's travel apps.
No.
This is my life, guys. So you might have noticed that I am shaved and the lighting is different. That's because I lost footage and I had to reshoot part of the video. So that's just part of life here in Southeast Asia.